Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the new and hopefully improved WayForward chat, now in convenient YouTube and Twitch form, complete with spiffy new graphic. I am your WayForward social media Tinkerbat Hoff, coming to you live from the sunken shipyards. And I'll be honest, we weren't even sure we were going to have an episode today because usually we want to talk about WayForward related stuff on the WayForward chat, but today is switched to launch day, and is anybody going to be in the gaming community wanting to talk about anything other than Switch 2? I don't know. And so then we realized, we're all gamers and video game fans first and foremost. So that's why we got into this business. And we're like, why don't we just talk about Switch 2 as fans and use that as an opportunity to test out our new setup here on YouTube and Twitch? So that is what we are going to do. It's still a work in progress, so if there are any issues, please let us know. But hopefully things go pretty smoothly. But yeah, joining me to talk about this new system launch today, we've got a whole bunch of people. We have my usual co-host, WayForward head of BizDev and Publishing, Adam Tierney, along with three esteemed WayForward directors, Michael Herbster, Tom Hewlett, and James Montagna. Thank you for being here, everyone.
Of course. I think the big question is which of us corresponds to each of the characters in our new image as well. I guess I'm either Kabako floating and sleeping or Jake being bored in the background.
No, dibs on
Well, I
Jake.
think mine's pretty obvious. Oh, beat me to it.
All right, I'll be Kabako. Tom's got Jake. James, you're the Vita Kids, I assume?
I guess I have to be, of course.
Yeah,
Can I be Officer Wagon?
absolutely. Herbster, do you want to be the Shantae or the River City Girls?
I'll take both River City Girls, I guess. I probably weigh about as much as both of them put together.
All right, Aaron, and actually Shantae looks like she's kind of doing some tech work, so Aaron, you're Shantae.
I like that we started this with a tag yourself moment. That's perfect.
All right, Herbster got two for the price of one. But yeah, since this is a new format and for other various reasons, why don't we sort of kick this off with a brief introduction of who everybody is and what games players might know you for. As I mentioned, I am Hoff, social media Tinkerbat, formerly of Nintendo Power, officially the WayForward Communications Officer. Let's see. According to my screen, the next person is Michael Herbster. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Michael Herbster. I've been on again, off again, working with WayForward since '06, and I was lucky enough to direct Retro Realms, which is a platformer from us that stars Michael Myers and Ash Williams from Evil Dead, the Evil Dead series, excuse me. And I will hand it off to the next person on my line. Looks like Tom.
Sure, I'm Tom Hewlett. I'm a director at WayForward for many, many years now. I've worked on, let's see, Mummy Demastered, Spider Sores, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and Contra Operation Galuga. And James, who are you?
I'm James Montagna, and I've been at WayForward for 18 years. And in that time, I've been involved in many of the Shantae games. I also directed Vitamin Connection and Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp with Nintendo, and most recently, Yars Rising.
And Adam?
And I am Adam, Hoff's usual co-host on these. I am formerly still maybe sometimes occasionally a director at WayForward, but now I head up BizDev and Publishing. Some of the games I directed included Batman and Aliens and Silent Hill and Shrek babies and a lot of Barbie and a bunch of other stuff.
And also River City Girls.
I forgot that. Yeah, that's the last thing I directed was River City Girls 1. And I now I do most of the writing, so I write a lot of our scripts, including Yours Rising.
Okay, so I think we are pretty much ready to get into our discussion. First, I do want to mention that we will be attempting to take questions as per usual, not on Twitter like we used to do, but here on YouTube and Twitch chat. It's a little harder to monitor than it used to be, but we will do our best. Feel free to ask away. We will try to get to those later in the show, barring any unforeseen difficulties. Again, new format. We'll do our best. Hopefully we won't run into any issues. Also, disclaimer, we are talking about Switch 2 today purely as fans. We will not be doing any reveals of new games or anything during this chat. So, let's start it up. So I want to know who here already has a Switch 2 or has played Switch 2. Who did you have to defeat to get it?
So I own a Switch 2 as of less than 1 hour ago. It got delivered to my front door. I was very nervous at the possibility of porch pirates, even though I haven't had much experience with that myself. But yeah.
Boots.
Yeah, so I just finished setting it up. It was really smooth to migrate all of my data from my Switch 1 to the Switch 2. I was very pleased to see that I could get the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom for only $10 more since I already had it on Switch. But yeah, so far everything's been great. I just, before I hopped on here, I was able to get my Pro Controller for the Switch 1 working on there, and I've got a Pro Controller coming for this, but yeah, everything looks really good and really familiar so far.
Cool. James, what about you?
I am a Switch 2 owner as of last night, and the only thing I had to fight was GameStop itself, but I came out valiant and was able to walk home with my Switch 2. I have been enjoying it. First thing I did was go play some WayForward Classics.
Nice.
Cat Girl Without Salad, a little Vitamin Connection, just to kind of just get a feel for, do you notice any difference? And I also tried Advance Wars a little bit, which was actually interesting takeaways there. But yes, I've been so excited for this moment. It's like a holiday.
How does Vitamin Connection work? Because I mean, that game probably more than anything we've done on Switch really runs the gamut in terms of like trying every possible control scheme. Did everything
Yeah, that's a
work
good
pretty
question. I've
well?
been wondering that myself.
So candidly, it looks and feels great on Switch 2. The only hiccup is we were one of the few games that used the
Hmm.
IR motion camera on
Exactly.
the original Switch. The Joy-Con 2 does not have that. So if you try to play Grab Fever, you will basically hit a non-prog for that experience. But you can play solo play with a Pro Controller, and no problem.
You can
Yeah, we
sync
should
up
look.
Joy-Con 1s, right? In case you need to get past that part.
Yes, you can. Yeah, yeah. We should look into that. Maybe there's some way to wrap one of the new features, like the mouse controls or something, to like retrofit it to some of the stuff that's not supported anymore.
Totally.
Tom, how about you?
I picked my Switch 2 up last night. The only thing I had to defeat was patience. I think, judging from my text threads, I was the last WayForward person to get it last night. Um, I have a friend in Colorado who thought it was tonight instead of last
Ah,
night.
oh no.
So he was getting ready for bed when I texted him. He had to get to his Best Buy. He got through the line and he got home with his Switch before I got mine. I was in the line when I started that conversation. So a lot of people at our local Best Buy, a lot of people got walk-ins too. So it seems like a pretty successful launch. And then I put in time with Mario Kart with my wife. Of
Oh,
course, that's a priority. And then once that was done, I dove into the information dense welcome tour, which everyone should
oh.
pick up and learn all about the insides and outsides of their Switch 2.
I'm waiting for the physical release, collector's edition.
Yeah,
And folks,
I'm very excited to play Mario Kart. As of when we started recording, mine is still downloading. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into this, of course. But everything I saw in the announcement, it sounds weird, but I'm kind of most excited to just do that mode where you're just tooling around and looking at everything, and you're not really racing anybody.
hello? Are we still live?
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're still live. We can hear you, Adam. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having
Like
technical issues.
like Hoff said, we're
Uh-oh.
trying out new stuff, so potentially technical issues. But yeah, Herbster, have you grabbed a Switch 2 yet?
I do have a Switch 2, thanks to James helping me secure one. On top
Got you,
of
buddy.
yeah, thank you so much, James, yet again. I got to wait in line and hang out with a bunch of people, which was great, and it was a fun aspect of getting a new system. My kids, who are younger, this is the first time they got to experience waiting in line, so they did that briefly because they're children and they got bored. But they got to play Mario Kart with the entire family last night. We all had a lot of fun. I have yet to have the chance to jump into anything else besides booting up F-Zero GX and Soul Calibur 2 because I wanted to remind myself of when the GameCube was existing in my youth as well. So it was fun to touch base with those old games.
Right on. What all did you pick up at launch?
I'll start with that one. I grabbed Mario Kart with the bundle, and then I was inches away from getting Cyberpunk, but they sold out right as I got to it.
I got the Mario Kart bundle. I did the upgrade on Tears of the Kingdom, that's because I'll dive back into that. I guess technically that's all I played so far. I played that for like 5 seconds, literally. And then I downloaded the 1 through 4 Deltarune for my kids who are
cool.
huge Deltarune and Undertale fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I got
James?
the Mario Kart bundle, and then I actually found 40 eShop points, or $40 in eShop points last week that I didn't know I had. So I picked up
Wow.
Welcome Tour,
Under
and
the
I'm gonna
couch.
get yeah, and I'm gonna get Deltarune later today, and then I've got Fantasian from Switch 1 waiting unopened one day.
Cool.
I picked up Cyberpunk 2077. Looking forward to re-experiencing that on Switch 2. I'm really excited about the mouse controls. It's gonna be interesting. And I am currently becoming obsessed with Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. I am liking it more than I even thought I would, and I knew I was gonna like it. So, yeah, that's been my experience so far for what I picked up.
A lot of really cool mini games in Welcome Tour. If no one's looked into it since the announcement, there's actually a lot of cool. If you like Vitamin Connection, especially, and like all the quirky controller stuff James came up
That's
with,
why I love it.
check out Welcome Tour. There's some really cool stuff.
Well, it sounds like all of you guys, man, a lot better than I did. I was able to secure a pre-order through Target way back when. It was a bit of touch and go because I was out of the country and it was at a weird time, but I managed to secure it. And I'm still worried it was going to get canceled, so I placed another one through Nintendo directly. Neither of them came through, so I got nothing. I'm still waiting. Maybe it'll show up one day,
Yeah.
but for
I
now,
did the same. I ordered through Best Buy, which arrived today, and I did a backup through Target, assuming one of them get canceled. As of right now, my Target one is saying it'll be delivered Wednesday next week. So yeah, what's the holdup, Target?
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that's what I'm getting. But as for Nintendo, it's like, what's your excuse, guys? Probably because they've sold a trillion of them. But yeah, for you guys who have been able to dive in, come on, let's hear more about what are those first hands-on impressions like?
I like the magnets, like immediately just setting it up, and I love the shape. I love how everything is just more beveled and curvy in the hardware than on the first one. I love the snapping magnets and the way you release it, and just everything just feels so polished. Just like the way that the interface is very familiar, but obviously it's much higher resolution now, and just going through everything, just the flow of the menus and the HD rumble as you're going through everything is just it just feels great.
It's really solid. So famously, when me and James got our first Switch 1 kit in the office, we accidentally put the Joy-Cons on the wrong side. And we're very scared. If anyone has actually done that,
I did that too.
it's
Where
very
you
scary.
you jam it in there and it
I've
gets
I've
stuck.
heard
Yeah,
I've heard the horror
and
stories.
when I got my Switch 2, I pulled it out of the box. I put the magnets in to feel the magnets. I was like, "This is sick." And then I looked on the back, and I was like, "Oh, why is the logo upside down?" I was like, "Oh, I put the Joy-Cons on the wrong side." And I was just like, click, 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 and it was back to normal. And I was like, "Oh, this is much better backwards experience than the first time.
Rah.
It's really satisfying, I noticed. The magnets just feel so good that I'm just, like, playing with it, snap it on, snap it off. I'm sure I'll get tired of it or used to it in, a short amount of time, but for now, just the fact that just holding it feels great is really nice. But I have to say, the thing that really kind of impressed me the most was the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, and I'm holding it right now. The first thing you notice when you hold this new Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller is whatever plastics they use. It's so satiny. It just feels like really good. I've never held a controller that
Huh.
has this kind of like hand like feel. So I immediately was impressed with that. But it was when I started actually using it to play games that I noticed the real difference. At first glance, it looks pretty similar to the existing Pro controller, but the sensation of using the control sticks on the previous Pro controller, it's much like a regular game controller. You feel like this kinda, like, grinding sensation as you move the stick all the way in circles. You can feel, like, the stem of the stick hitting, like, the lip around the circle, like, where the thing is housed. Somehow, I don't know how they've engineered it, but on Switch 2, as you move the stick around, it just there's, like, no resistance. You feel like nothing. It just feels so good and natural, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like I can't go back after this. This is now maybe my favorite controller to play on.
Yeah, James helped calm me down. I was scared initially because I looked at the menus and it looked like there was no button mapping. I only saw, do you want to switch A and B? I have a very weird way of playing Tears of the Kingdom. I was telling James, I think it's from my DNA as a kid of learning to rock your thumb on B when running in Super Mario Brothers 1. And so I really wanted the run in Zelda on the left button as opposed to the upper button. And so I remapped that, and then, that's 200 plus hours of muscle memory. But James said I just need to look in a different area, so as soon as we're done with this, I'm excited to give that a try.
It's there, yeah, they moved it's an accessibility. You can customize they really went big on customizing for Switch 2. So not only do you have the GL and GR buttons, to customize to whatever inputs you want, you can do the A and B switch, but also there's button mapping, and then there's a new quick setting feature in Switch 2 that I love. You can actually hold down the home button and instantly swap your button mapping to other button mapping settings, and I'm like, "That's just really
Oh,
brilliant."
that's great.
And Mr. Herbster, your initial thoughts?
I'm super stoked to be able to play GameCube games, so that's probably my hugest victory lap from all of this. Just being able to even experience F-Zero GX again without having to pull out a GameCube along with my original copies. Although that might diminish the value of my original copy, I'm totally happy more people can play it. It's a amazing game that got kind of overlooked.
It was a really challenging game. That one kicked my butt so hard back in the day.
I definitely remember that I had the reflexes in my youth to run through it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete it now, but if you do, you unlock a lot of cool characters that they have very deeply hidden in that game.
Since you brought up the GameCube stuff, what game would you most like to see come to the GameCube NSO service?
Wow. I mean, like from a list of things I've rarely had a chance to play, it's like Cubivore, which I doubt would even show up.
I still have my copy.
I'm super jelly now. Wow. Okay, I may bug you, Adam, to show me that at some point. There's definitely.
I might sell it to you if you want it. I haven't touched in like 20 years.
I
Dealing and
mean,
dealing.
yeah, I could slip you a Abe Lincoln or two if you want. No, I'm joking. I'd give you more than that, definitely. But yeah, that's such a big question. I know most people think Twin Snakes was a rough spot for the Metal Gear series, but I love that game too. I'd love to see that come back.
I love it too. With the cinematics by the director of Versus, I thought that game was just so, and I mean it was just so like visually impressive compared to what we were previously experiencing it as on PlayStation 1. I love the hell out of Twin Snakes.
Well, on top of that, getting the voice cast back together was such a huge win for that game too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's got missile surfing. Tom, James, what would your picks be?
I gotta represent my Atlas DNA and say Go Hyper Grind, which was GameCube exclusive skateboarding game. That's all.
Man, I
That's
missed
all
that
there
one.
is to it. That's
Okay.
all I have to say.
Are we saying what GameCube games we would like to see
And what GameCube
on?
game you would most want to see come to NSO?
Can I mention a not GameCube NSO game I would like to see as well? So Kururin Squash was an awesome GameCube game that was largely overlooked, only released in Japan. I'd love to see that. And really obvious answer would be Super Smash Bros. Melee, because I mean, come on, how cool would that be to play online together? However, now that we have this mouse feature, doesn't it make sense to bring back like Mario Paint?
Sure does.
So I
It
certainly
sure
would
does.
like to see that on the Super Nintendo. It's not called Nintendo Switch Online anymore. It's Nintendo Classics. They rebranded it, and so if you
Ah,
update
right.
the icon will change. Interestingly enough, um, I really would love to play Super Nintendo Mario Paint with the Joy-Con 2 controller as a mouse. I just think that would be such a fun nostalgia trip. But the other thing I really want to see, I'm gonna pull something obscure out of left field, but if this ever gets announced, just know that I probably like fainted somewhere. Um, there's a game by the creator of Electroplankton called Sound Fantasy that was never released but was completely finished, passed lot check on the Super Nintendo back when the Super Nintendo Mouse came out. And so, creator of Electroplankton, Toshi Iwai, had made this game, and it got shelved forever, but there's like a finished ROM of it. If they ever brought that out, I would love to see it. I know there's people in Nintendo that want to see it. Tsunekazu Ishihara, who's now the CEO of the Pokemon Company, formerly of Ape Inc., who's famous for Earthbound, was a producer on this game, and he's been outspoken about wanting to see it back someday. So maybe not impossible, but that is like my number one like Switch 2 wish that probably won't happen. But if it does, just know I'm freaking out.
Okay, and Adam, did you name one? Was Cubivore yours also, or do you have something else?
No, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch of games that I love, but the one that springs to mind is I would love to replay, especially in higher resolution output, one of the most misunderstood games I think of the GameCube, which is Piano 3.
Ah,
Oh,
that's a good pick. Yeah, for me personally, it would be Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, which I think was, really overlooked at the time. I think it was kind of the wrong time for that game, but it's so, kind of charming. It has great play mechanics, but people are like, dude, it's some 5-year-old boy in a chicken suit. I'm not playing this. So I'd really like to see it have a second chance on Nintendo Classics.
That'd be great.
So as you know, now you've got the system. What are you guys most excited about as a player as we're moving into the Switch 2 era?
I mean, I think everyone's going to be very focused on Mario Kart for a while.
Mhm.
My kids are downstairs right now playing Deltarune. I've never played that. I've played through Undertale, but I haven't played through Deltarune. But I've
Right.
seen enough of it to see that it has really that same charm of everything in the other title. I'm definitely looking forward to Hades 2. I put a tremendous
Oh
amount of
yeah,
time into Hades 1 on Switch 1, so I can't wait to dive into part 2.
yeah. You couldn't stop singing the praises of that first one.
Yeah, and I'm not even a fan of necessarily of like dungeon crawlers. I never really played through Diablos or anything, but I mean Hades might be my favorite game of all time just because it was so well done and just, nothing is better than that in terms of just kind of passive dialogue and incremental storytelling. They do so many things great in that, so I'm very excited. I've been completely staying away from all media and previews and early access and everything on Hades 2 to just dive in when the full game is available.
Tom, how about you?
yeah, I'm pretty excited for Metroid Prime 4. I know you can still
Oh
play it
yeah.
on Switch 1, but it'll be,
Mhm.
smoother and flashier on Switch 2. So I'm excited for that. I'm also excited to see what um games they update from Switch 1. I'd love to see Mario Maker with mouse support, and
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I didn't finish Pokemon Snap, so I mean that could have
Oh
mouse
snap! I
support.
haven't even started that one.
It could just have nicer graphics and whatever, or it could have super extra levels like Kirby. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But um, as they add updates, there's some Switch 1 games I didn't quite put enough time into, so it would be fun to have an exciting reason to get back to those.
Mr. Herbster, how about you?
Yeah, I guess if I really dig deep and think about the things that I'm probably going to pre-order, I'm probably looking forward to Pokemon and just seeing how much they might have changed the Legends like setup for how just the games are handled with the what is it? It's a Pokemon Za. And I guess I'm just my youngest is a super Donkey Kong fan, and as soon as I brought the Switch 2 home, he has no concept that games get released over time, and he was just like, "Where's Donkey Kong?" And I'm like, "It's not out yet, bud." And it's like, "Oh." Then he just goes sits in the corner. I'm like, "But we can play Mario Kart," and it's like, "Well, that's good enough, I guess." And then he at least sits down and plays. So probably
Now,
Donkey Kong.
is Donkey Kong in Mario Kart? He is, right? Yeah, we've seen him.
He is a early unlockable, and hopefully I'm not spoiling that for anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's been in the trailers, so yeah. Well, hopefully that'll tide them over. Yeah, I'm super excited about Donkey Kong Bonanza. Aside from the game just looking amazing, I'm a big Gorilla fan, so Gorillas for the win. Yeah, it just looks super cool. The way you can dig through everything looks amazing. Like I've watched that trailer so many times, and every time just looked better and better and better. James, how about you?
Well, after getting hands-on time with Donkey Kong Bonanza, obviously I'll be playing it. It's the best way I can explain it is it's satisfying the same way, essentially like popping bubble wrap is satisfying. It's got that same just like feel good sensation as you play. But as a player, what I'm looking forward to, is that the question? I guess, uh, Kirby Air Riders. Oh my goodness, the fact this game even exists, I am stoked. As a big, follower of the work of Masahiro Sakurai, I think just getting him back for a Kirby game in itself is huge. The fact it's Kirby Air Ride specifically or a follow-up to it, I couldn't have dreamed it myself. It's so cool. So yeah, really, really beyond stoked for that. And in general, aside from how amazing I'm sure that's going to be, seeing them kind of like release it or release games that are Nintendo Switch 2 editions, it makes me wonder how might be ways to give some games a second chance and revitalize interest and kind of get new players to old games and refresh them. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that happen.
Okay. Now, I think all you guys said that you did get Mario Kart, right? So I would be, excited to hear you talk more about your experiences with that so far, and tell me what I've been missing out on.
You're missing out on a lot. It's pretty cool. sorry to sorry to have that answer for you.
I know, I know.
Who's been your
I don't know.
favorite? Who's been your favorite racer so far, Tom?
Well, I've only ever played as Luigi in Mario Kart. It's my one rule. Um, but there's lots of random racers. My wife and I kept calling out like snowman, like skeleton fish. Like you just see a guy zoom past you, and you're like, that he's in the game. Um, there's a bumblebee. It's even to the point where like you're unlocking characters like Daisy, but you start with characters like Charging Chuck available in Monty Mole. So it's lots of surprises like that. And then I guess I won't spoil it, but there's some enemies and characters from Mario games that haven't been represented in Mario Kart before, but they're not because they're new. Like I'm not talking about like Odyssey or something, but it's like
Mm.
retro Mario stuff, and you're like, oh shoot, like that's never been here, huh? Um, so it's really cool to see stuff like that just randomly show up as you're getting out of a melee of 25 other racers. It's crazy.
James Herbster, what's your experience been like with the game so far?
So I've done all the cups in the game, so I don't want to spoil too much.
Oh,
However,
dang.
the thing that Tom is calling out, I actually a huge fan of classic Mario games and clapped like a trained seal when I saw it. Like it was amazing. The one thing that I know James and I have briefly talked about already is that I couldn't spoil for him, and it would be hard for me to do in the context as well. But I will bring up is the music is phenomenal. My son's doing the like driving around just free wheel style all over the place, and there's tracks that I haven't heard from doing the cups, just in like key locations, and they do a phenomenal job of doing one of my favorite soundtracks, which is Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. There's some stuff in there that brought me back to my youth, just very eloquently handled. So
Hmm.
I would say you might be missing out on it, but you'll at least be able to hear it soon.
I'm still waiting for my copy to come in the mail, but I did get a good amount of time with the game already back
Hmm.
at the Nintendo Switch 2 tour that Nintendo was doing.
Oh, right.
And I immediately love the music, of course. I think the thing that I'm really enjoying seeing uh, I just heard that Monolith Soft was involved in this game, and that's like such a talented, awesome team. It really shows. They had stuff to do with the environments and the character designs. These characters, they're so expressive. Peach has never been cuter. Oh my God. The outfits are so great. I love the different outfit
Right.
changes for the characters. So
The
I just
nosebleed
love how
never ends.
expressive everyone looks. I think this is like the best the Mario cast has ever looked.
Wow, those are some strong
Yeah,
words.
James is a really diehard of your Peach representation, so she's got to have those big puffy lips and all the classic features, right?
Don't make it weird. But yes. I you know what? I think it's just like a sort of thing where maybe Peach was like my first love in this world back when I was like maybe 6 years old. I decided like Peach was like the best, and it just I'm very consistent. It never changed.
All right. So, we kind of said going into this, we're approaching this launch as fans first and foremost, but I am wondering, what is most exciting for you guys as developers, as directors, now that we're in Switch 2 land?
I'll give the boring answer and just say I love the bump in the specs. I mean, higher resolution, a little more horsepower. I think we love developing for Switch, and I think it's going to be very exciting now reaching all these Nintendo players in a higher resolution, with a little more horsepower behind those SKUs in our games.
Tom, how about you?
I'm seeing reports of Switch 1 games without updates just playing better on Switch 2, having better frame rates and stuff like that. So I'm actually curious how some of our older games play um, on Switch 2 just natively. It'll be interesting. I'll have to go through and check them all out. But otherwise, the mouse is pretty exciting. I haven't given it too much thought, other than things like I worked on a Goosebumps game at WayForward, and obviously if we had a mouse back then, on the Switch port, sorry, we used the IR camera thing on the front of the controller, so you could use a mouse pointer, but having a real mouse would be smoother. But other than that, I haven't really given it much thought. But playing with it now, hands on, with how simple it is, it really does work on like your pant leg. Um, I'd love to think about some applications for the mouse that are more unusual.
That sounds
Yeah,
good to me.
absolutely. Yeah. The wealth of options that you have with control methods on Switch 2 is just really exciting. And playing the Welcome Tour, doing like the tech demo of the maracas with the rubber ball in it, I'm like, oh my gosh, HD Rumble 2, it's so good. I immediately think about how immersive it can be, what kind of cool sensations and things we can provide players with this. So that is just so exciting. And yeah, obviously mouse control, but even just like I think the spec boost itself is going to be able to make it so we can do things that we just couldn't do before because maybe performance was an issue or something like that. So I guess that's kind of a combination of all previous answers in a certain sense. I will say this, I played Advance Wars 1 plus 2 Reboot Camp last night, and I was really pleased because any Switch games that have what we refer to as a little bit technical, but like an uncapped frame rate, where the frame rate is made to run just as fast as it possibly can, those will naturally perform very well. On the map in Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, it is a locked 30 frames per second, but when you go into the I guess you call it the split view battle scenes, that's an uncapped frame rate, and it just looks so smooth. It looks the way that we always ideally would have liked it to. So now just being able to experience that on Switch 2 is really awesome.
All right, and Herbster?
Yeah, I'm probably just going to repeat the usage of the mouse, but even thinking about other
Understandable.
companies outside of ourselves doing re-releases of like Dave the Tentacle, or like just getting classic point and click adventures back in the scene would be awesome. I know they're a little obscure at times, but like Dave the Tentacle is probably one of my favorite memories of my childhood, of being able to play with family and like solving puzzles together that are a little obtuse.
Yeah, someone bring back
That's one of
Maniac
the
Mansion,
best.
please.
Exactly. All those old Lucas Scum games are still some of the best games ever made, especially when you comes to narrative and humor and stuff. Those games really hold up.
Okay, so looking at this launch and looking back at other Nintendo hardware launches, how would you say that this stacks up, not only with the game necessarily, but just the experience of the launch day and getting your orders and stuff like that? Do you have a favorite hardware launch, what you consider a best Nintendo hardware launch? I would love to hear that from you guys.
Well, I don't think this one, at least for me and James, holds up to our Switch One launch. Was that after GDC or was it after
Oh my
Tokyo
God.
Game
Yeah, that
Show?
was after GDC.
Yeah, so James and I were on a business trip for WayForward when Switch One launched, and we was that the same one where we missed our flight? Or was
Yeah,
that
it's
a
the
different
same
one?
one.
Yeah.
It's the
So
same one.
basically, we went to Game Developers Conference in San Francisco and did a bunch of business there, and that's how we set up a lot of the games that you see at WayForward. Is we meet up at people with trade shows and start talking about games. And James and I went to Fogo de Chao, which is a Brazilian barbecue place, and we ate so much meat on the trip that we missed our flight. and and
We
Wow.
were
uh,
meat drunk, okay? We were
yeah,
meat drunk.
so we got finally. I don't know what we were thinking. We finally got back to the airport, and they were like, "No, we called you guys for half an hour. We're already closed up and everything." And then it was like a John Hughes movie. We were like frantically looking for another flight, and I had to get back to take my kids to school the next day, and we finally were able to hop on another flight and go back. But on the way back, we drove up to the Best Buy near Way Forward and were able to secure our launch day Nintendo Switches for the first launch. And so
We
that
made
will
it
always,
just in time.
yes, that will always be my most memorable launch for any console.
That's the one by WayForward. That's wild. That's where I picked it up, but I was there at the front of the line. But you guys closed out the
Because you're
line I opened.
responsible.
I was
Yeah, I
as
think
responsible adult, yeah.
yeah, they let us in and they were like, I think as they were letting us in, they're like, oh, I don't know if we have enough, but we barely eked in. We either literally got the last two or like some of the last two, right, James?
Right. It could not have been a more dramatic finish, but we made it.
It's hilarious.
Anybody else favorite system launches, or how this one stacks up to past Nintendo system launches?
Yeah, so my favorite memories of waiting in line for a launch system was probably the GameCube. In that era, when I was still a young high schooler, my mother's boss wanted one for her grandchildren, and she said she would pay for mine if I made sure she got one as well. So I
Wow.
got to a local Walmart 24 hours early, sat in the back of the store on chairs, and formed a line with another friend and waited out 24 hours for a system. And after that, I swore to never do that again, just because sitting inside of a store for 24 hours was a little overdue. But I got my system for free, technically. So
Yeah, that does sound like an experience.
I have one more if I can cheat. I
Sure.
had this weird thing where in college I was working at Walmart in the summers, And I had, for whatever reason, sort of fallen out of video games. I played video games as a kid, but I think a lot of people I've talked to have had this where it's just like, there's like a 1 or 2 year stretch where it's like, oh yeah, I just kind of didn't play them as much. And for whatever reason, I was kind of out of video games, but I was working in the electronics department. And one of the other staffers that worked there asked me randomly, said like, "Hey, we just got Game Boy Colors in. They just came in. Do you want one?" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess so." And so I took a shiny, translucent purple Game Boy Color and bought Link's Awakening DX. And that really reignited my love for video games. That then just kept
Nice.
becoming more and more passionate until that was, my entire career out of college. So and I think sometimes, like, would I have fallen back in to video games as hard if I didn't have that one random staffer ask me at the launch? And it was like, I don't even know why she did that. It was just the systems were selling out. She could have put it on the floor and it would have sold out in like a minute. But luckily for me, she offered it up, and ever since then I've been right there at the front of every Nintendo system launch since.
Mhm. Yeah, I can relate to that. This is actually the first time since like the N64 that I haven't had a Nintendo system on launch day, unfortunately. Technically, when I got the Nintendo 64, I did stand in line. I did get one, but it was actually not for me. It was for my best friend whose birthday was on that day, so I was tracking it down on his behalf. But yeah, if it weren't for those Target and whatever, maybe I would have not broken my streak of missing day one. Although, as for my favorite one, I'm gonna say Wii, just because I love Twilight Princess, and of course Wii Sports being a pack-in launch title for that was amazing, and also the fact that I was actually at Nintendo when that happens. I got to be part of the Nintendo marketing team launching that, which was a completely different experience in of itself. So I think I'm gonna say Wii was my favorite system launch, with
That's
Game Boy
amazing.
Advance. Game Boy Advance being a runner-up, because obviously that I was much younger for that, but I just went into a GameStop or whatever it was called back then. Was able to pre-order in advance. Came in. It just had so many cool, fun games at launch, and of course that was pixel art mania, because games were going 3D with PlayStation. We're like, oh man, these are my people here with this awesome, beautiful pixel art on GBA, and getting to play stuff like Circle of the Moon and Super Mario Advance and other cool pixel art games at the time.
Yeah, GBA had a fantastic launch in terms of the games that were out around then. There was, the first Kura Kura Kurin that James mentioned earlier, that series. There was Choo Choo Rocket was around launch time. There was the advanced versions of the old Mario games. It really came out of
Yep.
the gate with some fantastic offerings.
James and Tom, did you chime in on this? I mean, I know you mentioned how you picked up your Switch One and stuff, but is that the one that you would count as your favorite past system launch, or perhaps anything was surpassed by Switch Two system launch?
Oh gosh, yeah, I was part of Adam's story with the Switch One. When we came out, I was working at EB Games, and
Oh,
the manager said that they were gonna make sure that the employees could all get one, and they were gonna put aside a Wii for us. And so I was very excited. I was at the launch party that they held at Universal Studios, or Universal City Walk, official Nintendo people, and they're like, "You're not getting yours tonight?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna get it tomorrow at EB Games where I work." Um, and yeah,
and there's a twist coming.
I showed up at work, and guess where there was no more Wiis? EB Games, because they had sold them all, and I decided to quit on the spot, and I never went
Oh
back.
no.
As you should.
It was unacceptable to me. You know what? My word is my bond. If I say I do something, I do it, and so I expect that of other people.
That's incredible, James. I'm sore at my EB because they stole my Harvest Moon pre-order cow. But your story is much sadder.
Did
It's
you ever
hard.
get your cow back, Tom?
No, no. The district manager took it for for his grandson, and when
All right.
my
Well,
friends tried to stop him, he said, "Tom doesn't need this."
yeah, we'll have to reach out to our
Oh
friends
man,
at Natsume. Maybe we can get you one of those old cows.
I might
um,
have some spare cows in my apartment.
oh yeah, you guys all have connections. I keep forgetting. Give me a cow, you guys. It's hard to pick a favorite launch for me. I guess with Wii, I had a launch title with Trauma Center Second
Oh
Opinion.
yeah,
That was pretty exciting. Um, but I don't know. I worked a lot of retail like James, and so I'm thinking of other non-Nintendo platform launches that I just remember because I remember all the sad people we had to turn away. And I know there's plenty of people that didn't get Switch 2s on launch day, Hoff. And I know there are people that were turned away, but it seems like there were so many more units available than other launches in the past. Um,
yeah,
even when I was in line last night, seeing the walk-in line and how big that was, they'd handed out tickets, so it was like the whole line that I saw was getting a console. It just seems like
mhm,
there were so many people that were able to get Switch 2s, and that's really cool to see compared
yeah,
to, like I said, 25 years ago, uh, a prominent non-Nintendo launch was much smaller supply, and again, I just remember turning people away. So that's neat. So if you didn't get a Switch 2, I'm sure there's more coming, and don't be sad that I said all this, but everyone else, I'm glad everyone else got their systems.
yeah. I know
So,
mine's on the way, and I probably could have got one for yeah if I'd lined up, but I'll live.
Yeah.
So one of the cool things that I really love about this new format that we're doing with YouTube is it's just so easy to see the questions from you guys coming in.
Yeah,
Usually we're kind of just hearing them through Hoff, and you're organizing all that, looking at individual tweets and stuff. But it's so nice just to
mhm.
see like a scroll of these things. So
Well, I'm
yeah,
still
why
keeping a
don't
list, buddy.
yeah, well, since I mean we're at 47 after, why don't we answer some questions? And I think one of the
Yeah,
nice things is as we go forward on these podcasts, which technically not podcasts, but they will be eventually podcasts. That'll be really fun as we go and just kind of like answering questions on the fly. So if you have a question, if you're listening right now, definitely if you could throw a big Q in front of it, that's easiest for us to spot. I'll just answer the most recent ones. Let's see. Somebody asked, "Will there be a new Shantae game or a River City Girls 3?" Yes, there is a brand new Shantae game coming out very soon on PC and consoles. Shantae Advance Risky Revolution. There will very likely be more Shantae games after that. River City Girls 3, we're talking with Arc System Works. We are not working on anything right now. I think it's likely there will be something else, but I don't know at this point whether it's going to be River City Girls 3 or more DLC or some other spin off game. Anyone else want to dive in on a question? Or Hoff, you want to throw any questions?
I've been keeping track of all this stuff, so I will start with the top of the list, which was a question from Bowsette, who asks, "Is there any chance a Shantae amiibo can or will be made in the future, since Switch 2 still has NFC capabilities?"
We would love it. I'm not aware of any conversations, but I will also say that Matt Bozon and his wife Erin drive really all of the discussions in terms of non-video game versions of Shantae, and I think that might, even though it's video game adjacent, sort of fall into that camp. So,
I think so.
yeah, I think you're probably your best question or best bet would be to reach out to Matt Bozon directly on Twitter or any other social media.
Yeah, I mean, is there a chance? Oh yeah, there's always a chance. Is it likely? I don't know. I mean, the thing about amiibo is that they can be a little bit riskier when you're talking about physical goods, but I think it's something that we would all love to see happen. So it would be totally awesome. Fingers crossed. There's some way we can make that be a thing.
In the meantime, you can go pick up the amazing looking Shantae uh, kits, statue figures from Volks. Yeah, just do a search on Shantae and Volks, Volks. I think they're up to 4 figures so far. They look fantastic.
Yeah, and Bolo coming out soon. Next question from Gianmarco Zanelli. Uh, Oh, any news for Risky's Revolution on consoles? Well, we kind of covered that already. Yeah, it has been announced. It's coming out this summer. Please look forward to it. We'll have additional info in the weeks ahead. weeks and months ahead. Next question from the Greninja Bomber. Will more Shantae or more WayForward games be on Switch 2 in the future? Like I said, we're not really talking about what we've got planned for Switch 2 yet. We aren't ready to announce anything. But, it's a pretty good guess that we do have some things in the works, but you'll just have to wait a little bit longer before we can divulge what any of those plans are.
Yeah, nothing confirmed, but I think some of our most popular titles, we're definitely going to want to get those ported onto Switch 2. And I think I mentioned, Hoff and I mentioned, a lot of the games that these guys are working on right now are, very early in development, not coming out until 2026, some even beyond that. So I think it's a safe bet that any multi-console game we're working on that is not coming out, immediately is probably going to be on everything, including Switch 2. But yeah, nothing we can specifically confirm right now.
I have a very important Switch 2 update, which is I just got a package from Nintendo as to what it is.
Oh,
Is it my Switch 2? I don't know. Is it my GameCube controller? I don't know. But that's something that I will get to investigate after we are done recording here.
exciting.
Next question from Mikadoc Aria Mikado, who asks, are you all working on Bloodstain's sequel?
You can answer that.
No, we're not.
A very
We
short
did work
answer.
on all the DLC content from Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, though. Some of it came out last year. The DLC costumes in Classic 2, so if you haven't played those yet, check them out. But no, we were we were experiencing yesterday's announcement as fans, and so we're excited to play the new game, but we did not work on it.
All right, good answer. Next one is from Antonio Lopez Leon Productions. So, everyone, who's your favorite half genie in the Shantae series? Mine is Zapple. I assume they mean aside from Shantae herself. Mr. Herbster, who's your pick?
I mean, I can't just pick one. They're all great. But I
Tricky
do
answer.
agree. Zapple's pretty cool.
James, surely you have an opinion.
My hero's Risky Boots. Risky Boots is
He's
the
not
best.
a half
Team
genie. That
Risky.
doesn't count.
And I pick Roddy. There you go.
Everyone gave
Polo!
non-answers.
Good girl.
Non-answers completely across the board.
I'm going with I'm a good girl.
Excellent
Tom,
choice.
did you answer?
I got it.
I shouted Bolo when James was talking.
No love for Plink? Nobody?
She's cute.
She's okay.
I like Plink.
Yeah, she's fine. She's good.
French.
I mean, if I really had to think about it, I'd probably go with Harmony. I'm not sure why, but I think that'd be my actual pick. Okay, next question. Oh, good question about Switch 2 from Edwin Makes Games. Did you guys do a system transfer from your Switch 1?
Yep.
I did, and it was so smooth. Yeah, it went really well, and it took, I don't know, less than half an hour. It was great.
And I'm told I haven't had the heart to check yet, just in case, but I've heard the Animal Crossing island transfers over smoothly without any extra hoops to jump through. So
That's the scary
wish
part.
me luck.
I'm afraid to do it just because of that. James, Herbster?
Yep, did a system transfer, super smooth. It's really a technical feat that they're able to do things like this. There's so much that could go wrong, so many variables with different consoles. It really was a great experience, and yeah, I'm eager to pick up right where I left off.
I
did
too
miss
did
the
it.
Pikmin though. I didn't see any Pikmin.
That was literally what I was just about to bring up. Was I appreciate how quickly it was, but I definitely missed the animation of Pikmin carrying all my save files over one at a time. And even though I remember that being really long, I sat through all of it just to watch it happen.
Let's do some quick rapid fire ones before we get to the next one. How did your team get in contact with Studio Trigger for the intro to Seven Sirens? They also did Marble Knights. That was all Bozon. Matt Bozon reached out to him, made some good connections. Will there be any future Mighty Switch Force games? Yep, we're talking about cool stuff and planning stuff right now. Which DC hero character would you want to make a game about, and why should it be Harley Quinn? It should be Harley Quinn. We did a bunch of cool DC games back in the day, but I don't think she ever actually appeared in the game. I think we pitched her, and it was like a no Joker embargo at the time we were making the Flash game or something. But yeah, it'd be fun to do a Harley Quinn game.
Realize that.
All right, next question, Hoff.
I got one from Gene Martin, who asked, is the new Shantae and River City Girls music by Jake Kaufman? The answer to that is no. Jake has not been part of the studio in quite some time, but the music in River City Girls is mostly by Megan McDuffie. It is phenomenal, and the stuff in the new Shantae game, in Shantae Advance Risky Revolution, is pretty amazing as well, so I hope you enjoy it. Another question from Edwin Makes Games. With Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games like Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends having a ton of legal text on the box art, do you guys plan on picking up the Switch 1 versions instead? Which I guess brings up a good question. Are you guys doing physical or are you all digital on these?
I'm probably going to be mostly
Adam?
digital. I usually when I buy physical, I end up regretting it. I hate the fact that I have to, like, for example, put in my disc for Metal Gear Solid Collection on my PS5. I should have just bought it digitally. So I'm probably just going to buy digital as much as possible.
Yeah, I've been mostly digital since 3DS for my Nintendo, especially with things like Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. It's like, where would I ever be in a situation where I wouldn't want those games to be instantly accessible? So I've been digital. On Switch, the exception was RPGs because my wife might want to play them while I'm playing a different game on Switch. So we'll see how Switch 2 goes, but I'm digital.
Mister?
I'm almost sad to admit that I will be living in both worlds, and on the account of whether Switch 2 or Switch 1 versions, sometimes that might mean triple dipping as well.
I can understand that. I might be, I don't know, triple dipping, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And James?
No, I'm easy. I don't think too hard about it. I just kind of go by like the game, like per game. Do I want to own this physical, digital? Doesn't matter. Do I care? So I'm easy. I'm kind of like a dice roll for me. It's kind of random. Maybe I'm gonna get the physical copy of stuff. Maybe not. Whatever. As long as I can play the game.
Yeah, I'll mostly go physical if I can, but as far as the legal text on the box art having an effect, I don't think that's going to have an impact on me at all.
No, I wouldn't care about that
Switch
either.
2 version if we can. Let's see, we got a question from Anime Kid, who just says, Mighty Switch Force 2 Hyperdrive Edition?
That'd be cool.
Let's get them all on there. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're planning Mighty Switch Force stuff right now. I think you guys will see something involving Patty in that universe, hopefully within the next year or so. But yeah, lots of discussions right now.
I want to get hose it down out there.
Force Hyperdrive.
Yeah, Mighty Switch 2 Force. Go for Switch 2.
Anime Kid also asks, will Shantae make it to Mario Kart World DLC in the future? If Nintendo invites her to be there, I'm pretty sure Matt would jump on it.
Yeah, just I mean, people have asked, like, about Shantae and Smash Brothers, and of course there was the spirits and the Mii costume and stuff. Almost all that stuff, when you have first party stuff like that, originates from the first party. So we are always happy to offer up any of our characters, any of our games for anything first party. But yeah, it's more of a question for Nintendo ultimately, because it's going to be clearly a yes from us and from Matt.
Yeah, it would be super cool to see our characters appear in all sorts of different games.
They're always going to ask about Fortnite, but it's like, well, if it comes to us, we will definitely be excited about that possibility. Okay, we are run out of time here. Let's see, are you guys ever going to make a fighting game? Asks Black Lightning 100.
We talk about it a lot. I think the trouble is with your audience, there's more flexibility and less expectation of like hyper nuance with a brawler than a fighter. Well, as soon as you get into the fighting game territory, you're competing with like the masters at Arc System Works and everything that's played every year at Evo. So I mean,
Capcom,
I
Namco,
yeah, I would imagine
Nintendo.
that we might be able to do one if it's kind of more of a unique fighter, like more kind of like playful along the lines of, even though I know that there's diehard players, but something more like a Smash Brothers as opposed to like a Guilty Gear or a Blaze Blue or something like that. But we've talked about it extensively over the past at least decade and gotten pretty close a few times. But yeah, so far no. But I don't know. Anything could be happening. What we talk about a lot more that I think is more likely to see from WayForward in the coming years is 3D arena brawlers, so something along the lines of like a Power Stone. I think that would be very up our alley.
Now we have a very important one from Anime Kid. Is meat drunk a thing?
It was that night.
I assure you, it's a thing.
Oh, it's a thing. Yeah.
Medically recognized.
All right, man. We still have a bunch of questions, but we're 2 o'clock. I know we kind of have a hard stop here, or at least you do, Adam.
Yeah, so if I'm the only one with a hard stop, I will bid you guys adieu. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everybody, for setting this up. This was great. This was a lot of fun. So looking forward to more of these. But yeah, if anybody who can hang on, please do and keep answering some questions. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Later, Adam. Okay, let's go with a couple more here. Since Shantae celebrates its 23rd anniversary, I hope you guys have any plans for 25th anniversary in 2027, asks Gabe the Bomb Bird. And boy, wow, we're probably a little too early to be discussing anything about that. I actually do not know what Matt's plans are, but hopefully we have something cool in the works. We will just have to wait and see. Okay, here's one from Mr. 20XX. Are you guys worried about Nintendo Switch 2 not being too different from the first?
Oh, not at all. It seems same in the ways that matter and are actually potentially beneficial, and different in ways that are really exciting for us. So I don't necessarily get that from it personally.
And I don't think that's really something. I mean, I know that people look at that from Nintendo, but like other consoles don't have big giant differentiating things gen to gen. So I think Nintendo really found a great balance with the Switch 1 with the portability and then, cool little things like Joy-Cons and stuff, which they've just doubled down on with the Switch 2. I think that's the right approach. So,
Herbster, anything to add?
Yeah, I definitely think that the system's setting itself at least further enough away, much like Game Boy to Game Boy Advance, that like it's an upgrade, but also it's doing the previous game's library on top of improving upon the groundwork that it's obviously blazing a trail on.
Right, thank you for those answers. Got one from Jay Savage. Hi, I'm a very big fan of WayForward games and have a question for you guys. What is your most favorite part of developing games and advice to who is inspired by you guys? Kind of a deep question. James?
Well, definitely part of it's the journey itself. I love working beside our super talented teams to develop the games. It's just such a joy every day that we get to do this for a living, and the teams all work super hard and everyone gives it their all. It's just very inspiring and motivating. So love the actual process itself. The other great part is the moment that it connects with players. When we create something that players enjoy, it resonates. You see, like for instance, cosplay, and I'm a big fan of when I get to see fan art. That's just such a great motivating feeling. So I would maybe call that out as like the thing that I really enjoy.
Tom?
I think, I mean, the three of us are all directors, so we grew up when we play games, we kind of appreciate all of the whole game, the art, the music, the gameplay and stuff. So I think the most fun part for me along that line is we get to be the first person to see the game like come together throughout development. So like we get to hear this new song and we get to see this new character, and you get that same joy you did as a kid. At least I do. But then, like James said, you get to think about like, oh, people are gonna love this, like when they meet this character, or when they hear this music, or I've worked on like Contra, so we reference old games, so it's like they worked in this motif from this old game so well. It's like a little hidden secret. Like, oh, is anyone gonna hear it? It's gonna be so cool. So things like that I get really excited about, and they keep me going. And then advice to people who are inspired by us. Thank you. That's that's cool. So hold on to your dreams and play games and think about why you like them and going
And learn to beat Stage 3 of Battletoads.
and learn to beat Stage 3 of Battletoads.
Mr. Herbster?
I guess the thing that gives me the drive to keep pushing forward is just the love for the games itself. Obviously, much like Tom brought up, we're all kind of in that early era of like really appreciating games when the resurgence from the previous death of the industry to the rebirth of it. I would also state that just growing up in the culture that we currently are living in from that like the 80s era onward, it's all been very video game infused. You got like the push for Tron beforehand, and just the resurgence of computer technology and everything has been huge as far as even like humanity and existence goes in our connective tissues. And that also ties into the improvements that I would say on like advancements as a director or somebody that's passionate about game design, communication skills, being able to talk to people, showcasing your passion with just well worded sentences and other things like that will go a long way, especially with our the industry being primarily work from home now. Communication is a huge factor in making sure that everybody's in lockstep and you're all striving for the same dream if you're working even with a small team, but big teams especially that.
Good point, and good advice from all y'all. Okay, we can tackle a few more questions here before we got to go. Down with Tariffs asks, because Shantae Advanced Risky Revolution is getting made, will Shantae Risky Waters ever be completed? It's probably more of a question for Matt, but as far as I know, Risky Revolution was a unique situation in that the game was already, well into development when it got canceled, and so it was, created a very unique situation that it got to come back. I'm not sure if there's anything else that you guys can add to that, because you might know more about this than I do. But I'm also under the impression that a lot of those ideas from other games did end up making it into the products that have already been released too.
Yeah, I'm surprised sometimes what people remember or what's even out there. A little shocked to even hear the name of that one. A lot of concepts. Every time there's a new console, historically, there's been experiments of Shantae games on them, and I personally would say never. We always think about all sorts of different things. So yeah, well, all I could say is there's always gonna be more Shantae games, I believe.
I'm pretty sure that there will be more in the future. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if you ever really want to know about this, corner Matt at an autograph signing or something, and see if he will give you an answer, or maybe an AMA in the future, or maybe if he's ever on one of these podcasts. But yeah, only he would really know the answer to that. Got a question here from Doodle Dupe, who asks, how come you guys work with limited run games instead of Fangamer? And the answer is that, we've definitely, talked to Fangamer, we've talked to other publishers as well. There's nothing that's off the table. We could end up publishing stuff through Fangamer at some time in the future. They're great people. They've done a lot of merch with us. But Limited Run Games has been, really good to work with too. They provide us tons of chances to publish things physically that nobody else would have ever, allowed to happen. I mean, the fact that Risky Revolution did come back is in large part for them willing to back the project. They're willing to back stuff like Vitamin Connection, and so they've just been, very, very generous with us and given us, lots of chances. Not to say that other companies won't have chances in the future too, but yeah, they've been very beneficial to us and a lot of other indie studios as well.
I can jump in really quick off. I know this isn't what the
Sure.
question was asking, But we have worked with Fangamer in that Nina Matsumoto, who works there as an artist among other things,
Mhm.
did contribute a bunch of really cool original art to Bloodstained Classic Mode 1 and 2. So if you haven't played those and you love the art of Fangamer, please
Yeah.
check him out and Nina's art.
Mhm.
It's really great.
Yeah, I mean, she's contributed to other things as well. And like I said, we have done merch with them. We've done River City Girls merch. There's been Shantae merch, which is technically not us, it's Matt. And there's, I think, been other things as well. But yeah, we have worked with them in those capacities. So,
And I'm just trying to plug my game, man.
yeah.
Just trying to plug it.
No problem. Uh, okay. So when we're going to see a Shantae Doom crossover, whenever they reach out to us and Shantae decides to get crazy violent. So probably, yeah, that one, I'm going to put into the not likely category. Shady,
Matt Bozon's a fan of Doom though, so
yeah,
don't
maybe
rule
you'll
it
find a
out.
way to make it work. Maybe you'll find a way. Would Shantae ever turn into a chicken? Uh,
That's for
maybe.
the Billy Hatcher tie-in, right?
It must be. It must be. Yeah, once we have the Billy Hatcher crossover, boom, there you go. Also, have you guys ever been to a collector expo? I'll bet some of you guys have, huh?
I have been, and I might be living in that same style of existence in my house as well. So
I can understand that. My apartment is basically like being in a collector expo all the time.
my kids
Uh,
live in electronic Pee-wee Playhouse, effectively.
we have a question here from Cosmic Minute 59 who asks, are Vita Boy and Mina Girl able to change their sizes at will?
Yes.
Oh, there's some deep lore for me. I did not know that.
They can do it.
Okay. And, oh, we got another one that just came in. Will all Shantae games be on the Switch 2 in the future? Again, we're not commenting on what we are going to be officially releasing for Switch 2, but as far as I know, all of them are playable right now, the Switch 1 versions on Switch 2, so you should be able to check all that stuff out. Right now, all your Shantae games should be playable on your Switch 2. Anything beyond that, we'll have to wait for the future. I think that is probably all we have time for today. I apologize for any questions that we didn't get to, but we will be continuing to do these. We'll be able to, maybe I can archive some of these questions and save them for next time, but we'll definitely be continuing with our WayForward chats here. But for now, I think that this does it for today. We have to go and get back to playing Switch 2. Get back to work. I need to see what's in these packages I got here. But I hope everyone has enjoyed joining us for this discussion and our trial by fire for our new format. Hopefully we'll be able to make things even better with improved animations and improved graphics and artwork in the future. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, James, Herbster, Tom, and Adam as well. We are planning to be back next week with a new installment, probably with WayForward Game School, and then continue on with this format for many months and hopefully years to come. Also, as a PSA, this past Monday was the 23rd anniversary of the release of the very first Shantae game on Game Boy Color. So to celebrate, pretty much all of the Shantae games are on sale right now on Switch and Steam and PlayStation, and even a little bit on Xbox as well. So if you need any of those in your library, now is a great time to get them. Is there anything else that you guys want to add before we go?
Thanks for tuning in and being fans of WayForward and playing WayForward games. You're the reason we can make games because we need people to play them. Yeah, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And thanks for having us. Oh, this was super fun. Hope we can do more of these in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
This was fun. Thanks, everybody.
All right, with that said, thanks again, everyone, for listening. Thanks for asking questions, and we will see you next time.
Bye.